Here we go, live episode 163 of the Hardline. Michael Merlo, John Michael Masiri, here with you with some big news about the podcast. This is our first live episode we've ever done, and we're very excited. JM, first off, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mike. It is a beautiful day. Excited to be back with you here and bring some good news to the people. I think something that I know we're definitely going to enjoy, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy as well.
Well, sorry for the delay, of course. Somehow, some way, I did not wake up to my 8:40 alarm, and I went a little over that.
A little bit.
It's funny.
Overshot it just a bit.
I woke up at 7:38, and I was like, "Oh, I have another hour. I'm gonna go back to bed." And so I put my phone down. I went back to bed. I'm like, "I'm good. Another hour."
Yeah.
And then, as I'm starting to wake up, I'm like, "Wow, that was a long hour."
Yeah.
No,
A little bit.
it was like 3 hours.
You didn't feel the sun like really starting to beat on the face there, or were the blinds
No,
real
nothing.
closed up?
Nothing. I didn't go to bed too late either. It was just
Hmm.
I overslept. I overshot it big time. All right. Enough of that.
Rip the Band-Aid, why don't you?
Here is our big announcement. So JM and I decided last summer, to go all football all the time. And we knew it would be a little bit of a challenge. And as we get set for the next football season, when we're in the middle of this new summer, we've decided that we don't really want to do that. So we are going to go back to all sports. We are going to talk baseball. We are going to talk basketball. Obviously, we are going to talk football, and that is going to be a big part of the show. Football is still going to be a big part of our gambling segments that we do when we get to the football season, which we're very, very excited for. And we just feel like this is more manageable. This is easier. And we both love talking baseball. We like talking basketball. So we are going to go back to all sports, and we're very excited about that.
Yeah. It's been weird in the off season. It's been really quiet. It's really tough to personally stay attached to football year round, especially when you care a lot about the other sports like we do during baseball season, during basketball season. It's really tough to stay locked in and passionate about football. So, we know where the conversations are. We know what the people want to hear, and we're here to deliver.
And we are going to start right away with some baseball because our teams, man, this is a perfect day.
Yeah.
This is a perfect day for us to get ready to go into baseball.
Yeah.
The Mets have lost 5 straight, 2 in Atlanta. The Yankees have lost 6 straight. They didn't score for 500 innings. And now we are going to discuss all of this because I want to put my head through a freaking wall. Luke and Joe, thank you very much.
Yes, guys. Yeah.
We'll start with the Yankees as they've lost 6 straight. They didn't score for what was that 30 innings there. Jazz Chisholm with the big home run to break the streak.
Yeah.
What is your overall feeling? Because I'm from an outsider's perspective, I kind of said here, I'm like, all right, they're in a funk. I don't think this is the greatest team in the world, but they're just kind of in a funk right now that they're going to get out of it. How do you feel?
They're definitely in a funk. They just so happen to be in the worst funk I've seen in a really long time out of this team. Yeah, I mean, you're going to expect some guys to go into slumps. Obviously, Judge shows that he is a real human being during this stretch. This is his first bad stretch of the year. But, I mean, everybody at one time is going into a funk. And it's not just offensively. It's defensive lapse. You saw the error from Volpe yesterday, which was absolutely killer, crucial, bad error. And, I mean, his defense just in general this year has been, as the great Kevin Bunks once said, league average. That's what it's been. And then you look at the stupid base running mistakes, Dominguez getting thrown out on the bases, Ben Rice getting, caught sleeping. Like these guys just, it's like all of a sudden, they forgot how to play baseball out of nowhere. So they'll get out of it. I think, this is obviously every team goes through its peaks and valleys through the season. This is definitely, hopefully the worst valley that we'll be in. But it does raise some concern because, the thought with this lineup coming into the year was, you're really hoping, you knew what you were getting out of Judge, right? And obviously The conversation of the team, the whole offseason was Juan Soto's gone. What are you going to do? Get his replacement, blah, blah, blah. Paul Goldschmidt comes out, is a huge contributor for them. Ben Rice is a huge contributor for them. Trent Grisham. All these guys are starting to come back down. And now what's happening is the guys who were maybe not off to the best starts that you were expecting to come up, right now nobody's coming up. Everybody is going down. Every single player on the team, their numbers are coming down right now. So it's a bit of a concern. You think they're going to turn it around, but it's just a matter of when.
I feel like those mental lapses are always there with this team too, especially under Boone. And I'm a Boone fan, but this happens every year where there's just, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a series where you see a couple of those plays. And we did see a couple of those plays over the weekend in Boston where, somebody's just caught sleeping on the base paths. They do that basically every year. And we have these conversations, I feel like, where we discuss whether or not Boone knows exactly what is he teaching? What does he teach in spring training? What are there any fundamentals being taught? And I feel like we have that conversation every year, and it's now come up a little later than usual, and it comes at a bad time when you're not playing well, you're not scoring runs, and you're not playing good defense, and you lose a series, you get swept in Boston, you lost this series to the Angels, now you're trying to avoid a sweep to the Angels, who are 6-0 at Yankee Stadium and Dodger Stadium this year. Yeah. Pretty crazy. And you're trying to avoid that 4-game sweep today.
Yeah, they're like the best worst team ever. And the really frustrating part is you have these guys that are coming in from the Angels that have these ERAs that are in the 5s, in the 6s, whatever it is, and they're giving you quality starts, 7 innings. Kyle Hendricks looks like Cubs Kyle
Hendricks.
Yeah, just unbelievably insane performances going on. But is that, I was thinking about this. I was like, the Angels starter yesterday, like, when he came back into the clubhouse after the game was like, yeah, you know what? I pitched really well today. Or was he like, wow, that team really cannot hit right now? Like, I think it's probably a mix of both. But
probably, I don't know. I feel like if you're a professional athlete and you're shutting down a good lineup, you're like, yeah, that's nice.
But going to your point about the Boone stuff, like, this was always it kind of pissed me off last year when people brought that up, like, oh, is he not teaching the fundamentals in spring training? Like, these guys have been playing baseball for their whole life. Okay. I think everybody knows like how to field the ground ball. Everybody knows, what to do in this situation, sort of a thing. Yeah, sure. Do you need situational practice just to keep your mind sharp and keep up with what you know? Sure. But if anything, I think you could maybe flip it to like a cultural problem. If you want to say these guys are having mental lapses, maybe the manager isn't keeping them focused, but it's so hard in baseball to pin what onto who and understand who's responsible for mental lapses, or sometimes we don't even know who's making the lineups, right? There's always the theories. It's the front office, the GM, it's the manager or whatever. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the pressure of New York that gets to these guys sometimes. I don't know if Volpe is just like a head case and, he's really starting to crack here, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go. That 100% could be. They see Joe's face on the TV, and everybody's like, I don't want to watch this team anymore. That everybody starts playing like crap.
And then we have this one, which is just this is disgusting.
Come on.
That's disgusting comment. I mean, that's just you don't need that. Yeah, but I understand they're professional baseball players, JM, but you need to go through in spring training, you go through every fundamental drill. But
also
teams go through.
This is like a total debate we're having where nobody has any proof of anything. I guarantee you that the Yankees are doing every drill that any other team in baseball.
No, 100%.
People just make that stuff up and be like, oh, they don't practice in spring training.
It looks like it though sometimes. Yeah. It looks like it. They don't do anything.
Oh yeah, yeah. They just I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just falling asleep.
And I didn't think they'd have this issue. They got more athletic. They got. We talked about that. We're going to debate a little bit. I forgot to put this on the note sheet, which lineup is better. But this year. But from last year to this year, they got more athletic. You think, okay, they're not going to make those same mistakes. And, you see it showing up now.
Yeah, well, I think, we're talking about them at their lowest right now. They definitely are in a rut. This isn't the norm Yankees. Coming into that Dodgers series, the one when they took 2 out of 3 in the most ridiculous series of all time. They got their asses handed to them the first 2 games, but Joel Sherman did a whole piece talking about how this isn't the same Yankee team that the Dodgers remember from last year, where they had that whole thing. They wanted to capitalize on their mental errors, and they're not a fundamental baseball team. And the data was there to back it up that, like, that is not the Yankees this year. Like, they were a better base running team. They were definitely a better defensive team, all that stuff. And sort of ever since then, ever since they've gone into this little rut, that has deteriorated. So, again, I don't know what the cause of it could be. I expect them to clean it up. To me right now, that's not my concern. I think they're just in a mental rut, whatever it is. The bats are the biggest concern right now, because if some of these bats, obviously Aaron Judge is just going through a little rut right now. He'll be fine. But if some of these guys can't start, like a Cody Bellinger, like a Jason Dominguez, who's really starting to, like, oh boy, is this guy even everyday playable at this point? If some of those guys don't come back up, Ben Rice, this team's going to have trouble.
Ben Rice down to 228 in his batting average. Jason Dominguez down to 235 with a 708 OPS. Volpe's down to 726 on the OPS. And even Paul Goldschmidt, who was hitting 320 with an OPS high in the 800s, under 800, and down to 300 batting average.
Yeah.
And even Judge is coming back down to earth. I saw that stat yesterday before the last strikeout in the sixth. He was like 15 strikeouts on his last 22 at-bats. Hey, that's going to happen. That is going to happen.
Yep.
A couple comments here. Thanks, Dennis.
I gotta say,
we'll be back.
Bags under the eyes. Did you like moisturize or something this morning? The skin looks clear.
I woke up, took a Waz, and sat down in the chair. That was it.
There's going to be a lot of chairs sitting for you this weekend, Mike.
Wow. All right, JM. Usually I don't like to do this. I don't like to brag. I don't like to, especially before season's over, take my flowers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But when you're right, you're right.
Yep.
And, I think I'm going to call in my dad here, and I'm going to say, hey, this is one of those moments where Merlo was right. The Yankees lineup last year is better than it was this year, and there we go.
Yeah, again, this argument that you had was just extremely cherry-picked. You were like, well, it's how they were performing in the World Series, not so much.
I don't even care about that anymore. That lineup last year is better than this year.
I'm still taking
better.
Dude, this is like, let's remember, we're in the middle of June here, okay? I remember distinctly crashing out on this podcast last year because Jahmai Jones and J.D. Davis were in the top 4 of the Yankees lineup against the Mets in the Subway Series. Let's pump the brakes. I'm still going to take this year's lineup overall over last year's lineup. And let me just say something. When you just said that, that's not where I thought we were going. I thought you were going to say, give yourself your flowers about our phone call about 2 days ago when you said, oh, Mets going into Atlanta. I don't like this right now. This is usually where we go to die.
Well, we're going to get to that. We are definitely going to get to that. And I was right. Of course I was right about that. Listen, I'm still going to take that lineup, like post-trade deadline Yankees.
Sure.
Let's lineup.
Let's see what they do here. Let's see how some guys, bounce back, what they do after the deadline. I will say, you want to talk about a guy that when he's doing well, you love him. When he's not doing well, you hate him. Jazz Chisholm is the epitome of that. The guy, any situation. First of all, the lack of situational hitting, like, me, I'm not usually with batting average this, just put the ball in play, blah, blah, blah. But the way this guy goes up to the plate, it doesn't matter if there's 2 strikes, if they're up by 5, they're down by 5, it's a tie game, first inning, 9th inning, no matter the situation, he is swinging for the fences every single time. And it's really, really annoying. It hurt them last night. He hit the home run earlier in the game, but then he had a crucial at bat late in the game and has just taken daddy hacks at the plate. So
it's around the game though, where there's just no situational hitting, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
but some teams do it well. Some teams do it well.
He lives and dies by the sword, man. Like, he is a very up and down hitter. He's probably one of the streakier Yankees I've seen since the great Brett Gardner, who was notorious for that. But yeah, enough. Let's come back in a week or two. And if we're still talking about this team's putting up 2 runs a game at the most, which is generous right now because they're not doing that, then we're going to have real problems.
All right. Well, maybe if we have time, we'll circle back to the American League and the Yankees. We are going to switch over here to the Mets, who have lost 5 straight, 2 in Atlanta. They go to Atlanta and they forget how to play baseball. Everything goes out of their head. And it is the most frustrating thing in the world, thinking you slayed the demons of Atlanta last year when you beat them in game 161 in one of the greatest baseball games I've ever watched. I think you slay the dragon. You go in, Soto homers in the first, you take a 4-1 lead, you're in the 8th, and you blow the lead. And there's many mistakes made, not only by the manager, but by the players on the field, and you lose the game, you blow the game. And then last night, Chris Sale, like, what? How does this happen? Like, how does Chris Sale, who was dead 2 years ago, how is he the NL Cy Young Award winner last year, probably the favorite again this year at some point? How is this possible?
I don't. I think these guys at some point, it's happening with DeGrom right now. I think they finally realize, like, hey, I'm built like a rail. And maybe at the age of 35, I can't just throw as hard as I can and put this strain on my body and whatever. So now Chris Sale is like, it seems like he's going to start every game for the rest of his career at this point. And we know he's always had the great stuff. Mike, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if we need to look into the Braves locker room and see if there's anything going on in the clubhouse. Anything?
I think they're cheating.
If there's any Ouija boards anywhere, I don't know what's going on.
I hate them. I hate them. I hate Ronald Acuna Jr. I hate him.
Well, let me just say,
he's so good.
There really is something mental with, and it happens with a lot of teams. The Yankees have it too, where like you go to a certain place,
for the Yankees,
you just know like things aren't going to go well here. And especially the other day, like where you're like, oh, this is really a team thing because Soto hasn't even been here for long. And then that first game, he gets doubled off at first base.
Yeah.
With the umpire didn't show he was out, whatever. You're really going to blame the umpire for that? Like, keep the eye on the ball, and then Soto's looking around, whatever. But it seems like there's some like mental spell that gets cast over this team when they go to this park.
It's incredible. I don't have any answers. And when you're trying to like describe what is happening, like what goes on, like I don't want to use that as an excuse, and like I was trying to, justify Mendoza on Tuesday. So he had Peterson in the game. He lets him start the 8th inning. He had 82 pitches. He had the 9-hitter up, and he walked the 9-hitter. And Acuna has been on 18 of 25 times before this, and he lets him face Acuna. He rips a single in the right field, and Mendoza got killed, rightfully so, for not having a reliever ready to go right after he walked the 9-hitter. He let him face Acuna again, and there are many reasons for why he should have had a guy ready. One of them being you've lost 3 straight. One of them being he just pitched a complete game. And I don't want to use this reason, but the other reason being it's the bottom of the 8th and you're in Atlanta and you've lost 3 straight and you have your guys rested, go to them.
Yeah.
But part of the reasoning is, and it shouldn't be like this, you're in Atlanta.
Yep.
And weird crap happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this Mets team, like, this is their second bad stretch now. Obviously, we remember the Subway Series into Boston. All of a sudden, the offense went quiet. And now, they had a nice stretch here over the past couple of weeks. The West Coast trip went very well for them. And now they're kind of, having another rough patch, obviously losing 5 straight. But, I have some concerns with this team. Like, obviously, we just talked about the Yankees. I feel like the Yankees' concerns are more known. Like, they're like people we've basically known since spring training, like, when Cole went down, okay, rotation depth is a problem. They need a third baseman, maybe another bullpen arm. They can, whatever. We know the problems at the Yankees, and we know Jason Dominguez is a question mark, whatever. With the Mets, it was like, okay, the starting pitching. Now we know, okay, the Mets have really good starting pitching depth. I do actually still have a concern if they're going up against, some of the premier teams in the NL, how their top starters match up against some of the other teams' top starters. But this depth of the lineup to me it was a bit of a question mark, seemed to go away, and now I think it's back. And I think it's back big time because Alvarez hasn't panned out to this point.
He
Terrence
stinks.
seemed like, okay, you got to play this guy every day. Now Terrence is like his numbers are not really jumping off the page at you. Better defender than Alvarez, but numbers aren't jumping off the page at you. And, third base, like Vientos was obviously not producing before he got hurt. AAA by July.
Yeah.
Mauricio, a call up who, what are you going to expect out of that guy? He's not producing. He's barely played at the big
very
league.
Raw prospect.
He's going to take a while. And then you have Beatty, but I mean, Beatty's done a solid job up and down, but third base is a concern. Marte, Nimmo, Marte's like up and down constantly. Nimmo as well, up and down. I think that the depth of this lineup is an issue. We know the top three are solid. Like Lindor goes through his ups and downs like any other hitter, but we know that Alonso, Lindor, and Soto are going to be good. But outside of that, I mean, I think another strong bat would really help this team out.
Yeah, I mean, Nimmo's come along. He started off the year very poorly. He's come along and settled into that 2 spot, especially against the righties. He's done a good job. Marte's been hot the last month. And, I think they do need something big time from Vientos when he comes back. I don't know if they need another bat yet. I'm not going to sit here and say they do. I think guys are going to come back. I think you're going to get a little healthier. And then you have to make that call. If Vientos is still struggling, because he was playing better before he got hurt, if he's still struggling when he comes back, then I think you have a serious question. Where are you going to upgrade? You're going to upgrade third base. You're going to upgrade center field. Where are you going to upgrade? But if he can come back and give you something, I don't see a need for a big upgrade offensively.
Yeah. Let me ask you this to the rotation.
Yeah,
I know that it's a tough question to ask because Montas is still out, Manaea is still out. Some of these guys are still hurt.
Montas is a 13 ERA, by the way.
Right. He's not doing so hot. If you guys, whatever, just I don't really want to pick the team right now. If you were to match up with one of the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Padres, whatever, it's one of the top teams in the NL, in the NLCS.
The Dodgers.
Okay, let's say it's the Dodgers. Who are you giving the ball to? I'm assuming game one is Senga, and then who's also banged up right now.
I might go Peterson.
Well, I was gonna say then, like, who else are you? You're doing a 3-man rotation, most likely. Maybe a fourth. He'll pitch one game. You'll maybe do a fourth guy. Who are the top 4 getting the ball?
Peterson, Senga, Manaea, my guy Clay Holmes. Those are my 4.
Okay. And then
I don't hate that 4.
I don't hate that.
I like that. I like that 4. Like, I'm good with that 4. As long as they're healthy.
The thing I'm getting at here, though, like, I don't want to take away what some of these guys are doing. And also, like, we're just throwing out Manaea out there. Who knows what Manaea is going to be?
Right,
like,
exactly.
We gotta respect that Manaea was his numbers before he came to the Mets and had a really good second half last year. Like, I think the Mets have proven they could do a good job. The whole lab thing. I do think they've proven that they elevate guys' games, but we don't know what we're going to get on Manaea still.
Yeah.
How do you feel about David Peterson facing the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup in a major playoff?
I feel great.
Okay.
I feel great. I trust him. I really trust him. Okay. Really trust him. I feel good about that.
Because you can have all the rotational depth in the world, but when the lights are bright and you're going up against some of the the best lineup in baseball that the Dodgers are, you're really going to be put to the test. And I for the Mets' sake, I hope that these guys are big time big game starters.
There aren't many pitchers though, like in the league or available, where you sit there and you say against the Dodgers, I feel great about them on the Mets.
Yeah.
Like,
agreed.
Those guys aren't available. Agreed. Screwball, Sale, Wheel, like those guys aren't available. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. Like, of course, I'm a little worried, but I feel good about Peterson and Senga and Manaea going up against those guys.
Right.
I do. I don't know who's going to be available. I don't know what they're going to need. I think you have gone through here a very interesting situation because that you were pitching very well and you didn't have too many injuries, and now guys went down and you saw some regression all at the absolute worst time as you're about to face Atlanta, Philly, Atlanta for the next 10 games.
Yeah.
You've had some regression and you have had some injuries. And now you got spot starts with Paul Blackburn and Justin Hagenman on Friday against Zach Wheeler in Philadelphia. Like, yeah, this is what I need, right? Like, this is what we need. So it's really poor timing for them right now.
It's definitely a market right now where, the Mets are good with starters because there's not a premier guy out there. There's only like depth help. It's funny. Sandy Alcantara was the name that was always getting thrown around the whole season. Like, oh, this is a guy that could be out there. And now, I mean, who really wants to trade for him at this point? So they're going to have no choice. You're not going to get some of the premier starters in the league. And I'm really, really curious to see what Atlanta does here because they're like it makes no sense. The past 2 years, you're looking at this team and, they were better last year, even in a down year than they are this year. Obviously they're 6 games under right now, but Sale, you think would be a big piece that's available, but
they'll be in it.
If you're Atlanta and you're within like 7 or 6 games, I'll call it 6 games of the wild card in late July, with the talent you have, is it really worth it to be like, all right, let's be sellers? I don't think so.
They're 5.5 back right now of a wild card.
Yeah. There you go. Who's got that last spot? San Diego?
San Diego. 39 and 34.
Would you go after Gallen if the D-backs sell and hope the Mets can fix him? I definitely would. I mean, Zach Gallen is a guy that's obviously proven that he's a frontline starter. He's been a Cy Young candidate in his career. I would do that if I was the Mets. But again, like at what
rental?
I don't, if Peterson still has these numbers, if Clay Holmes is still doing well, if Senga is back healthy and is still, one of the lowest ERAs in baseball, I'm sure Zach Gallen is more towards the bottom of your list of priorities.
The issue is you're trading for a guy that is a decent sized name. He's a rental, which I think is more likely for Stearns to buy. Like, this is kind of a Stearns move. I just don't love it because you're right. You're going to have your own issues. You want to get your guys right that you feel that can give you big innings. It's about getting Manaea right and ready to go, and getting hopefully Montas at some point, at least for the stretch, if you believe he can. They're not even sure they're going to put him in the rotation when he comes back at this point.
I mean, if Vientos comes back and is struggling, then same team, D-backs, maybe you could have the Eugenio Suarez conversation then.
Yeah. They're an interesting team. I wonder if they're going to sell. I actually think they are going to sell. I think the D-backs are going to sell.
Yeah, I think if anything, the Corbin Burns injury really is going, and Justin Martinez, 2 huge arms for them that go down to Tommy John. Those are 2 injuries that kind of like, okay, should we really be thinking about 2025 even into 2026 now, or are we going to kind of have to do a little retool here, shed some older players, some dead money, and kind of retool? I think that's what the direction they're probably going to go in, especially in that division. I mean, you're the 4th best team in that division. That's the best division in baseball right now.
It's tough. And it's like easily the 4th best team. Before the Giants traded for Raffy, you could make the case. Now it's like they're the 4th best team.
Yeah, clearly.
Especially with the injuries. Mm-hmm. All right, where are we going to go from here? Atlanta's still a house of horrors. I feel like I had one more thing to say on the Mets, and I'm just blanking on it. So we'll switch it over to the Raffy trade quick before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
As Raffy Devers now, like, they are real. They're real now because they have that bat that you fear. They never had that bat that you feared. Like, Chapman's a nice player. Jung-Hoo Lee's a nice player. Wilmer is a beast. But they didn't have that guy you absolutely feared, and now you do in the middle of that lineup, hitting third. You have that guy that you fear in Raffy Devers, and I think they are, to go along with a couple of really good pitchers, a nice bullpen. They could probably use another arm, but they're for real now in the National League.
They're for real. I really love, if I'm a Giants fan, I'm so happy with what Posey is doing. And from all the quotes that he said, talking about, I'm looking to provide entertainment for the fans. I'm looking to have that player that when, a little kid it says to his mom, can we get the tickets? I want to see Raffy Devers, so that's really encouraging to hear. And that's an organization that's missed out. I mean, think about some of the names over the years they've missed out on. Aaron Judge. We remember the Carlos Correa situation. Yep. They were in it for some other major free agent bats. So it's nice to see them, out there. They have plenty of money. They are their stadium is like privately funded. They're basically, Buster Olney said it himself. They're basically printing money over there. That's not a concern for them. So yeah, I mean, if you want to compete with the Dodgers in that division, you got to go and make big moves like this. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I got one thing to say about this Devers situation before we go to the Red Sox side and everything like that. A lot of the knock of, or the justification for why the Red Sox made the move was a lot of GMs or people around baseball are saying that the contract is quote unquote underwater. I honestly don't see that. Like, the guy is making $30 million a year. He's consistently giving you an 820 to 860, 880 OPS every single year. He's going to hit you 25 to 30 home runs at least. He's going to be a rock steady bat in your lineup. Sure, defensively, is he not the greatest thing ever? Yes, we know that. But, I mean, they literally have war dollars for a reason to justify contract values. And, there's mathematicians all over baseball. And the general consensus is like one war is about 8 million. So this guy's giving you on average about 4 war a year. That's $32 million. And he's only 28 years old. I really don't see an issue. And I don't think that this is a guy, he's signed until he's 35 years old. We're not talking about, Xander Bogaerts signed until you're 41. I think he'll age well. I think he'll bat like him, and a guy who doesn't rely on his athleticism so much. I think he's going to age pretty well.
Yeah. I don't think it's I think this had nothing to do with this play. I think this had everything to do about the kind of person he is and the tension that he caused not only in the clubhouse but in the front office. There was a lot going on behind the scenes that not many people realized, and I think we still don't know. And there was a lot of tension, and I think he just had to go. I think he had to go, and I understand it. I get it, because you know what? You get some players back, okay, and I don't love the package they got back. But the one thing I think we have to realize is that they freed up $250 million now. So now you have to go spend that money. Mm-hmm. Now that money has to be spent on something in the offseason, a big-time player, maybe a Kyle Tucker, maybe I'm blanking on the other free agents, but you know what I mean. You have to go spend that money you just freed up to make this trade worth it.
Right. Well, there was a clear misread by the Red Sox, right? Like there was of their own roster. This was a year where, you got Bregman, you got Buehler, you traded for Garrett Crochet, and it was like, oh, this team's gearing up. They're ready to compete in 2025. It hasn't panned out so far, right? Like they've been at best a 500 ball club.
Yeah, they're back.
The funny thing is, the Bregman signing is really what started all this. So the Red Sox, misread of their talent for 2025 and where their team was at is basically what caused this Rafael Devers situation. Now, I'm not going to pin it all on the Red Sox. Devers needs to be held accountable a little bit here, right? Like the guy, you ask him to move positions. He really should move positions, especially when you look around baseball, guys that are better than him that are on long-term contracts, like a Bryce Harper, like an Aaron Judge with, play me at first base. Yeah, I'll play center field. He wasn't willing to do that. So it is what it is. Bregman has an opt-out out of this year now. That would be really interesting to see. I don't know if the Red Sox are going to have him in their future plans. They've got plenty of young talent. They just got to, I guess they're really putting all their eggs in the basket. I mean, rightfully so. They are very good prospects. It's a very impressive class that they have. And I'm sure, they're going to go through their early struggles, but they'll most likely end up panning out. But it is a monumental and ballsy move by them after what happened with the Mookie Betts situation, and considering themselves as an organization that is with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, the San Francisco Giants, these teams that have all the money that are always going to be trying to compete. they're acting a little Pittsburgh Pirate-y here.
Yeah. No, they are. I think you look at Bregman, he was having an unbelievable season before he got hurt, and he's still on the shelf here. And you're right. I don't know if he opts out or not. I don't think I would opt out of that contract if I was him. I think I could stay in that contract for the next 2 seasons at $40 million a year. And then after that, I can still get the deal that I was going to get with the Tigers at 7 years, 160, whatever it was, and make all of that money combined. I think you're not going to get more if you opt out this year. And then, like, you look at the totality of both contracts, I don't think you're going to get more. I think he's not going to opt out. He'll stay, and then he'll get re-signed. I think.
Yeah.
By the Sox after it.
No, that is definitely true. It's a good point. He's definitely not going to get more than $40 million AAV. But now that Vladdy's off the market, Kyle Tucker is the number 1 guy. But after that, the bats are.
I think you get 200 plus here.
With a team maybe that's desperate.
Are they the team that's desperate?
He could.
Are the Red Sox the team desperate?
Possibly.
Let's see.
No, I don't know if the Red Sox. I think if he opts out, I don't think they'll be like, okay, we'll re-sign you now to a 6-7 year contract. I think that's why they did the deal this offseason. They knew they didn't want to commit to him long term. And maybe didn't love the way he aged, but they figured, hey, we've got all this money to spend in this little tight window. Let's throw the bag at you.
Tucker, Alonso, Bregman, Framber. Those are all free agents here. Bo Bichette.
So now after, I think the Mets, it's kind of a lock if Alonso keeps having this year that they'll just extend Pete. So, I mean, after Kyle Tucker, you're the number 1 guy.
Josh Naylor, Luis Ariz.
Gross, actually gross.
Yeah, Alex Verdugo. So yeah, I mean, it's Verdugo, it's Tucker, it's Bregman, Alonso. Yep. That's what it is. Yes, I think the Sox will be fine though. And I think we're they've won 2 of 3 here. They take the series from sorry, I just saw your message from the Mariners.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's going to do it here for us. Little shorter episode because I was sleeping beauty early on.
Yeah, no finals.
Quick prediction. Do the Thunder get it done tonight? I think they get it done tonight.
They close it out tonight. Halliburton, I think, has to play. It's a little sketchy. It is a calf strain, and that could be worse if you aggravate it. But
it's so funny how if he misses one shot early on, like a couple of shots early on, crazy. He's just not the same player the rest of the game. Crazy. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't shoot.
The reason why I think the Thunder close it out also pretty crazy. They've played better than the Pacers offensively, which is nuts to think about. They're shooting better from 3 than the Pacers are. You think Pacers bombs away 3-pointers. We know the Thunder are a good 3-point shooting team too, but they've held them to 36% from 3. So I think the Thunder close it out.
We'll see tonight. Enjoy the basketball. We've got a softball game we'll be watching, and maybe the Mets and the Yankees will break out of their slumps. We'll talk to you guys next week.